what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today, guys, I am here to do my top 10 4K releases of 2023 so far. That's right, guys. We are at the beginning of April. I'm getting ready to jump into a ton of new 4K releases. Like, there's so many 4K releases that I've got on my plate to review and talk about with you guys. But before I do that, I want to reflect on the year that we've had so far and just organize and go over my top 10 of the year. I've watched maybe 25 to 30 4K releases so far this year. I've got some honorable mentions. I do want to do these maybe every quarter. I'll do another one at the end of June, end of September. Then the end of the year, of course, I'm going to do my top 10 of the entire year. But I feel like it's a good, point in the year to kind of stop and reflect on what we've got this far and just point out the best of the best that's come out in the year of 2023, because I had a hard time doing a top 10. I'm gonna be honest. There's been a lot of good stuff that has come out this year. Look, before we get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about 4Ks and Blu-rays and owning the movies that you love. All that stuff there behind me every single day on this channel. So if you're down for that kind of thing, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button, then hit the like button, guys, and then comment down below. What are some of your favorite 4K releases of 2023 so far? What are your top 5, your top 10, whatever, guys? Let me know in that comment section below. So I will say one thing before starting. Kind of when I do this, I have a variety of criteria. It's definitely based on audio-visual quality to an extent, but also like just my overall enjoyment of the actual movie, of the actual release, the packaging, the special features. All that kind of stuff plays a factor into it as well. It basically comes down to like, what did I enjoy watching the most, and what do I think gave me the most bang for my buck, I guess, in terms of a release. So tons of great stuff, guys. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. Sidekicks. Sidekicks is an honorable mention. I was so excited for this when it came out. But yeah, the picture quality, if I'm being honest, did not wow me like I was hoping it to. But like, you can't beat Vinegar Syndrome's VSU packaging. Like, this is just incredible. I did an unboxing on the channel, so you can go check it out. But Sidekicks, it's a great release, guys. It's not making it into my top 10. I still love the release, though, and it's a stunning, package release. Belly on 4K. I thought this looked really good. I love this steelbook. Nothing really new in terms of special features. And, I really liked the movie. I didn't love the movie. I really liked it. But, like, this steelbook is just out of this world great. Like, Lionsgate always kills it with the steelbook. So I put Belly in the honorable mentions. Babylon was another film that I watched on 4K, newer film, directed by Damien Chazelle. I really enjoyed this one. Picture quality looked amazing, as most newer films do. But it just wasn't, good enough to make it into my top 10. I still enjoyed the hell out of the movie, and this is a terrific steelbook as well. Training Day. I was kind of surprised by this one. Training Day did not make it into my top 10. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because they put this in, I got it in a 4K case, but they put it in a Blu-ray case. Like, that brings it down a notch right there, because most of y'all have to suffer through having this in a Blu-ray case. Now, I did replace it. I had Hurricane Heist on 4K, and I was just like, I don't need Hurricane Heist on 4K anyway. So I replaced that out because I wanted Training Day to have a 4K case over Hurricane Heist for sure. But yeah, nice slipcover though. I like the 100th anniversary. It was just a weird thing for Warner Brothers to put these in a Blu-ray case. It's so awkward and strange. But I love the movie. The movie is so great. I really enjoyed rewatching it. Hadn't watched it for a couple of years. Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke. It's a great movie. Love the movie. The picture quality was very good. Definitely not a standout of the year for me, but the audio was fantastic. Like, I thought it had great audio. Dolby Atmos sounded incredible, but and nothing really new in terms of special features. So it's good, but it didn't make it into my top 10. Now let's go ahead and jump into my top 10, guys. And my number 10, you guys know it. I've hyped this movie up all year, is, of course, Bubba Hotep. That is my number 10. I'm just kidding, guys, but it's not Bubba Hotep. Bubba Hotep deserves to be in the trash. If you guys have been watching the channel, you know how I feel about Bubba Hotep. Did a whole video on it. Go check it out. Bubba Hotep is not my number 10. This is my least favorite of the entire year. And then it's the core. It's those two down at the bottom. So don't expect the core either. All right, so enough playing around. I'm not playing around anymore. Let's get into my legitimate top 10 of 2023. Starting with my number 10. This one's going to be surprising, I feel like, for some of you all. Pray for the Devil from Lionsgate. Like, this was really a great release. The movie itself was good. It actually surprised me. Like, I thought it was going to be a super generic, like, supernatural possession film, like kind of along the lines of the stuff we were getting in the 2000s, the late 90s, early 2010s, before The Conjuring hit and really kind of changed the game. And then they even went back into generic territory with their Conjuring 3 and The Nun, and they're not making good movies anymore either. But to be honest, like, I like this more than The Conjuring 3. I liked it more than The Nun. I thought it was actually a pretty interesting story. I like kind of like The Nun. It kind of reminded me of, like, A League of Their Own with nuns. So she was kind of trying to be the first female exorcist. And that was kind of a cool, like, creative, like, hook to get me into the story. So I enjoyed this movie. It had some good tension, some good scares. It's nothing new. Like, we've seen all this kind of stuff before, these kind of stories. But what really got me with this release is, first off, the transfer I thought looked fantastic. Like, Lionsgate did a great job with this 4K. Like, it just looked really crisp and, like, the clear, and, like, there's a lot of dark moments in the movie, but you could see everything, and everything that just looked really good and crisp and clear and clean. The sound, like, this has Dolby Atmos, and my God, like, they made great use of the sound in this movie. Like, all the sound effects utilized for, like, the jump scares and everything, but just, like, the overall, like, atmosphere and ambiance of the film just lend itself well to a good sound setup. So I was in it, like, there was, like, lightning storms, like, crashing down. All that stuff sounded great. So the sound really blew me away. There's some good special features. Lionsgate never really skimps on the special features. They always do a good job, even with their newer films. So I just really enjoyed this. I thought the movie kind of surprised me. I thought the audio was really good. And the picture quality was great. Good special features. I like the embossing on the Pray for the Devil. So that's my number 10, guys. I mean, it is what it is. Pray for the Devil. Check it out. I don't think it's a bad price right now. Okay, getting into my number 9. I really like this movie. It's not one of my favorite movies I've seen all year, but Justine from Blue Underground. This is a really good release. Now, this definitely leans into the exploitation genre. This is a Jess Franco film, but it's not as exploitative as you might think it is. Like, there's actually a really compelling story to this movie, and Justine as a character is a really good character, and following her along her journey, like, there's some really interesting encounters that she has along the way. There's some interesting stuff with Jack Palance towards the end of the movie. It's a really good movie. Like, I was expecting more, something along the lines of, kind of like a Vinegar Syndrome, like, exploitative title, a porn title, if you will. And that's not really what it was. Like, there's definitely those elements in there. There's a lot of nudity. Like, there's a lot of female nudity in this movie, for sure. But it doesn't lean too heavily into that to where you feel like they just put it in there to put it in there. Like, it feels like it belongs in the movie for the stuff that they're trying to portray and show in this time period. And I think it does capture that time period very well. So yeah, Justine is my number 9. And Blue Underground, guys, like, if you don't know Blue Underground, if you're not familiar with them, they do some of the best work in 4K restoration. Like, all of their stuff just looks so phenomenal, and Justine was no exception. Like, a lot of this movie, there's just large sweeping landscapes and big castles and towns and villages, and all that stuff looked great in 4K. Lots of colors in this film as well, and I think Justine looks great. There was a new audio commentary on here as well, so they added in some new special features, even though it's already had a Blu-ray release from Blue Underground. But Justine, that's my number 9, guys. Getting into my number 8, I watched this with my wife the other night, Mildred Pierce on 4K, and I got this in the Criterion flash sale. Almost said clash sale. Flash sale, and Mildred Pierce was a stunning film. I love this movie. I had never seen it before. Directed by the great Michael Curtiz, who also did White Christmas and Casablanca. Great director. And yeah, Joan Crawford, like, such a great performance in this movie. But I watched it with my wife because I knew, just getting into, like, the storyline of the movie, we're probably going to end up talking about it on our channel as well, so you can get her perspective. But she's a mother. We have a daughter, and it gets into the difficult relationship between a mother and a daughter that does come about sometimes. Only the daughter in this movie is really kind of despicable, so it kind of goes to more extreme lengths. But I knew it would resonate with her because she's a mother, she has a daughter, and you can kind of relate to some of the themes that happen in this movie. But Joan Crawford is just stunning in this film, and this was made back in trying to see the date that this came out. 1945, and there wasn't a lot of female leads, a lot of females leading movies. Not a lot of females in their 40s either leading movies, which she was kind of older in her career, or later on in her career, but she was great in this movie, and I loved every second of this film. It's about 2 hours long, but I was completely compelled the entire time. All the performances are great, and it's a black and white movie. It's in 4K, and you guys, again, if you've been watching the channel, you know how high I am on black and white and 4K. I think it looks great. The contrast levels just between the blacks and the whites and the grays and the shadowing and just how crystal clear it can look. I thought this looked stunning. One of the best black and white transfers that I've seen. Criterion did an excellent job with this. Now, the packaging, very basic. It's the same case that Criterion did before with the Blu-ray, but I didn't have the Blu-ray. So this is the first time I owned this movie. Special features, all the same, but I watched a lot of the special features. They're great special features. It's nothing new. But great release from Criterion. That's my number 8. Getting into my number 7, guys, I did a full review for this on the channel. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre from Dark Sky Films is my number 7. I thought that, again, I know we had the second site release coming, and my order has shipped, so I'm excited to get that one in, hopefully very soon. But I thought the transfer on this was really great, especially for this type of movie. Again, I can see people watching this and saying, oh, it doesn't look good at all. But you have to remember, guys, that this was shot in 16mm for one, back in 1974. This is almost a 50-year-old movie, and it was shot to look very raw and very natural and very real, almost like a documentary. So you're not going to get that like standout visual quality that you will of some of the other 4K restorations from this era. Like, this is a very gritty, raw film, and Tobe Hooper meant it to be that way. So if you watch it from that perspective, like, it's miles ahead of the past Blu-rays and certainly DVDs and stuff. I think this is the best this movie has ever looked. Now, the second sight edition might look better. That's yet to be seen. But I think that this is a really great release from Dark Sky. And there's also a steelbook as well, which looks fantastic. But I love the slipcover artwork. There was a brand new documentary in this as well, which we'll talk about with some of the other releases later on. I'm really loving that, you know, that the not just the boutique labels, but studios are starting to put like new special features, new documentaries. I think that's really cool. Especially, I just think that's cool. Like a whole 90-minute documentary. Brand new, you know, interviews, cast and crew, and all that stuff, taking you through the entire process. Like, that's what I'm talking about. More studios need to get on board with stuff like that. But it's definitely, I feel like, better than just these single interviews with people. Like, you put it all together, you put it in documentary form, and I hope that more studios and boutique labels kind of take note of that and use that as the format going forward, because I'm more likely to sit down and watch an entire documentary than, you know, scroll through and pick out like certain interviews and scenes and sequences. I don't know, it seems weird, but because it's kind of the same thing, but I'm kind of just in that boat now. I just want every release to have like a documentary attached to it. I think that's super cool. I'm pretty sure that I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure there was a new audio commentary in here as well, or maybe that's on the second site release, but this is a great release from Dark Sky Films. Highly recommend it, and that's my number 7. Let's get into my number 6. I did a full review for this on the channel. We'll talk about Death Wish on 4K. Looked fantastic. This was from Kino Lorber, and Kino Lorber, guys, to me, they just don't miss when it comes to 4K. They do some of the best 4K transfers out there right now, and this is currently on sale on the Kino Lorber sale for $17.99. So definitely check this out. Death Wish. I had never seen it before. Charles Bronson is fantastic in this role. Such a good movie, a tale of revenge, and he just pulls that off and portrays that all the feelings of that beautifully in this film. And it's just an awesome movie, you know, from the 70s. So yeah, Charles Bronson, Death Wish, looked great, sounded great. There was a new audio commentary in here as well. So that's my number 6 right there. Getting into my top 5. Some of these you might expect, some of these you might not. And I really don't think you're going to expect my number 5, especially considering how high up it is. But I'm excited to talk about this. I haven't talked about it on the channel yet. But Primal Rage is my number 5 from Vinegar Syndrome. And you're going to see another Vinegar Syndrome pop up on this list as well. And like I was talking about with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like including a full-length documentary, which Vinegar Syndrome is doing a lot of recently. We'll get into it again here in a second. Just puts the cherry on top. And this documentary in this release was fascinating. It was incredible. It talked about, you know, the story of Brad Pitt, how he was almost cast to be the lead in this movie, and how because he wasn't, that changed the trajectory of his career. They go into a whole segment about that. And it's just becoming more and more fascinating to me to go back and watch documentaries of movies that are not so classic, that are not so traditionally good, and just learning about those. So I really, really enjoyed the documentary of this film. But also, the movie itself is super fun. It's an infection movie. It's, you know, a baboon's getting like a lot of tests on him and stuff and getting a lot of stuff injected into him. And somebody breaks into the lab. It's like an animal rights activist thing. And he's trying to take pictures to give to the newspaper. And then the monkey breaks out and bites him. And he basically gets infected. He's slowly like deteriorating, turning into what basically, you know, amounts to a zombie. He bites somebody, she gets infected, it goes on and on. So it's an infection movie, and it's a really fun movie for sure. The performances, guys, look, they're nothing great, okay? You expect a little cheese, a little campiness. This was from 1988. Don't expect a masterpiece by any means. But as far as infection movies and just how they did the makeup and the special effects, I thought everything looked fantastic. I thought the gore was really good. And the whole scene at the end of this movie, I don't want to spoil too much, but I could see people watching this and it goes into their Halloween rotation. Like, this is a good film to watch in October because there's a whole like Halloween party at the end of this movie, and it really gives off those Halloween vibes. So what a great release from Vinegar Syndrome. I know a lot of people, when I bought this initially, said, oh, you shouldn't have got that, Ken. That's a horrible, crappy movie. And I'm sure, like, if you're just watching it on DVD and you don't have all of these extra features to kind of get into, you might not love it. But to me, like, just the whole experience of this release, and I thought it looked great too on 4K. Like, Vinegar Syndrome did a great job. There's some shots in the movie that don't look the most clean, like they couldn't fully clean it up. But most of this movie like looked fantastic on 4K. So visually it looked great. The audio was fantastic, but just the whole experience of watching this movie, it was super fun. I had a good time. And then the documentary, which just kind of enhanced my whole experience with the film itself, would just added that extra layer of enjoyment for me. But Primal Rage, great slipcover as well. Great artwork, reversible cover artwork. Like Vinegar Syndrome, it's just hard not to love their releases like packaging wise because they just stand out from the pack. But I recommend this if you were on the fence about this, because I had several people reach out to me and ask me my thoughts on this. So this is for you guys, my thoughts on Primal Rage. It's a top 5 2023 release. Wrap your mind around that. But I really enjoyed it, guys. I got to be honest with you. I know there's some people in the comments that are going to be like, oh my God, Ken, there were so many great releases this year that came out. Primal Rage is your number 5. It is. It's my number 5. I really enjoyed this one for sure. Another thing I want to note, guys, I know there's been a ton of stunning like animated movies come out. I haven't gotten into the Leica stuff and Puss in Boots and all that. I know there's been some good anime. Prince of Egypt I've heard was pretty good. I just don't watch a lot of that stuff or buy it or gravitate towards it. So that's not going to be on my list. Let's get into my number 4. And this should be any surprise that this is in my top 5. Rocky on 4K. I know there was a lot of controversy about this release. I did a whole review. I'll link it up there, guys. Go check it out. But I'm such a massive Rocky fan. I thought that for the most part, these all looked great. Audio I thought was fine. I know there were some issues with the audio, and getting to watch the Rocky versus Drago cut for the first time was really awesome as well. That looked great on 4K. And then there's a whole documentary with Stallone on here, Rocky versus Drago. I know they trimmed 30 minutes off of it, but you know, it is what it is. They could have done better with this release. I'm not happy with the packaging, guys. I'll be honest, not happy with the packaging. They could have done so much more big box set, steel books. I know they did steel books, but like a steel book set, like the upcoming Superman, or a big box 4K set or whatever, but this is just the flimsy packaging. They got the Nightmare on Elm Street treatment is what Rocky got. That's what it got. But I thought they looked really good. Could it have been better? Yes, it could have. And if it would have been better, it probably would have been my number 1 because I love these movies so much. But Rocky, as it stands, all 4 of these, I include them in the same, I lump them in the same, you know, spot on my ranking, is my number 4. Let's go ahead and get into my top 3, guys. Coming in at my number 3 is Dawn of the Dead. From Scream Factory. What a fantastic release. Now, I know some people were on the fence about whether or not to pick this up because they already had the Scream Factory Collector's Edition Blu-ray. I can tell y'all right now, you're going to want to pick this up. It looks so much better than all the Blu-rays that came before it. It looks so great. Like, and I've heard from several people that have the Scream Factory Edition that got this. They're like, oh my God, it looked incredible compared to that. Nothing new in terms of special features. And I know that some people were upset that the theatrical cut was not on this release in 4K. They just had the unrated cut. But when you watch the unrated cut of Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, that's the only one you're honestly going to want to watch going forward. So I don't think it's a big deal here because it's such a great cut of the movie. And it's the definitive cut of the film. But wow, did Scream Factor. This is honestly, to me, a top 3 Scream Factor release. They did a hell of a job on this. Great special features here. You got an interview with James Gunn. Again, these are older ones that Scream Factor did back in 2017 with the Blu-ray. But if you don't have that Blu-ray, like I never got that Scream Factory edition, then they're all new to you. So tons of great special features. There's 3 discs in the set, the 4K, the Blu-ray, and again, 2 cuts with a theatrical cut as well. So you get the unrated on Blu-ray, you get the theatrical on Blu-ray, audio commentaries. What a great movie as well. I love this. This was one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. It's easily top 3 for me is Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. Great movie. Looks great from Scream Factory. They did a hell of a job. That's my number 3. Getting into my number 2, we're going back into Vinegar Syndrome, guys, with From Beyond on 4K. I was blown away by this 4K restoration. I didn't get a chance to do a full review on this, but I did a recommendation style video talking about this. It looks so good. Like, I watched this when Scream Factory did the Blu-ray, and there's a lot of great colors in this movie. There's a lot of pinks and purples, and it looks good on the Blu-ray, but in this, oh my God, it looks so enhanced, so rich, so vibrant, so colorful. Just seeing those colors like reflect off of people's skin, like it just looks great. It's so clean, it's so crisp, it's so clear. The facial detail is incredible. The actual creature effects, there's some great practical creature makeup effects in this movie. Everybody's glistening, slimy. You can just see every bit of it, every wrinkle, everything you can see so perfectly in this restoration. And because the makeup and effects was so good, like it still looks great. It still looks great even though you can see everything, which is a testament to how good of a job they did on this stuff back in the day. But I love this movie. Barbara Crampton is just freaking great. Jeffrey Combs, everybody in this movie is fantastic. I love the artwork on this release. And yeah, the 4K looked great. I love the movie. I know some people don't agree, and that's okay, but this is my favorite Stuart Gordon film. I like it more than Reanimator. I just love this story. And, you know, it's an H.P. Lovecraft story, but only the first 5 minutes is really based on it, and then they made everything up after that. But in addition to all that, guys, you get a brand new documentary in this release. And again, it's like 90 to 100 minutes. And you got Jeffrey Combs in this documentary. You have Barbara Crampton in this documentary talking about this movie. And it's incredible. I'm just loving what Vinegar Syndrome is doing, just bringing these documentaries in. And this has all the special features from the Scream Factor release. So you have all those past special features as well, and the new documentary. So this is the definitive release of From Beyond. You get that classic poster art on the actual case itself. It looked fantastic, guys. Visually, from a visual perspective, this is one of my favorites of the entire year. Again, I know there's cleaner transfers of newer films like Black Adam, like Black Panther Wakanda Forever that came out this year. And again, I base my criteria on different things. Like, to me, it's the whole package. It's my whole enjoyment of it. It's the slipcover. It's the visual quality, audio quality, special features. All that stuff plays a factor in my enjoyment of the release. And From Beyond is one of the best of the year to me. So that's my number 2. Let's get into my number 1, guys. This one really surprised me. I was not necessarily really looking forward to this release, but my number 1, it's the complete package for me, and it's from Paramount. It's Dragon Slayer. This was a stunning release by Paramount. It's a really fun movie. I enjoyed the movie. Not one of my favorite movies that I've seen all year. It's a fantasy movie. I've never been the biggest fan of fantasy, so it's kind of always hard for me to engage in those kind of stories, but I really did enjoy this one. In the last like 30 minutes with the dragon, all that stuff is great, but what got me with this release is it's a 1981 film. It looked great. The restoration, like, everybody wants to give Paramount crap for the restorations. Like, this is one that they put their heart and soul and love and care into, and it shows. It looks fantastic. But the sound, my God, the sound. This has Dolby Atmos, and when that dragon comes out, you can feel him stomping. You can feel him breathing. Like, when the dragon breathes, like right before he's getting ready to let the fire out, you can feel that in the sound. And I don't have that full setup, guys. I've got the sound bar that simulates the Atmos, and I've got the subwoofer. But when that dragon started breathing and he started breathing fire and he just starts stomping out there, like you could feel all that. My basement was literally rumbling around me, and it was an incredible experience getting to watch this movie with great picture quality, great sound, and I really enjoyed the movie. And on top of that, guys, and this slipcover is really nice. I love the artwork on the slipcover. It's got a steelbook that's really awesome too. I've honestly been thinking about double dipping and grabbing the steelbook because I love this release so much. But on top of that, guys, I've been calling for this for months, for years. When I do a review and it's a new studio release, non-boutique label, and they don't have anything in terms of special features or anything like that. And this is the first time this movie's been released since DVD. That's the last time this came out. There was no Blu-ray, so there's a DVD as well. But they added in a bunch of new special features. There's like 7 new special features in this release. And the fact that a studio would do that, like Paramount, just goes to show me that we're heading in the right direction, because Sony's been doing that stuff as well. Sony and Paramount have been doing a really great job of adding in new special features, not on everything, but on some of their stuff. And they do that here with Dragon Slayer. 7 new special features that are pretty lengthy, about 10, 11, 12 minutes. So it's over an hour of new special features on this release. And I just think that that is fantastic. And that's the direction that we need to go in when it comes to studio releases and boutique releases, to be honest, because there's a lot of boutiques that have been getting lazy with special features lately. So this is, to me, the standard of what I want the boutique labels, what I want the studio labels, the direction that I want them all to go in moving forward, especially when it comes to these classic film restorations. So Dragon Slayer, to me, is the #1 4K release of 2023. So I thank y'all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my top 10. I tried to bring a little bit of my own uniqueness to it. I'm sure that you guys could tell that. And I'm sure that some of these wouldn't even crack your top 10 or your top 15 of 2023. But definitely let me know what your favorite 4Ks of 2023 are in the comment section below. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts down below in the description. And we'll see you next time.